Hello my great people, how are you today? You are welcome back to my channel. Today I just want to make a little piece of work with art wire, net, crinoline, bead and some feather. I will also be doing a little bit of a molding work that I will use, so please let's just watch. So the first thing I did was to measure my wire and then I wrap it. So it is actually depending on how big you want your wire to be. After wrapping my wire, my length, or is it no, after wrapping the wire, my diameter, that is my complete straight line from one end of the circle to the other, is 22. So that's to tell you how massive it is. It's very big. So I use bias to wrap it, since I will be working with a black net. So I used a black bias to wrap it. After that, I took 2 yards of net, though it's very big, it's bigger than what I'm doing, but I just, to be on the safe side, to make sure that I have enough to wrap it, so I used 2 yards of net to wrap it completely. I will be having some part that will be excess, which I will be cutting out, but just to make sure that every part of the wire is completely wrapped, I worked with 2 yards of net. So after wrapping, this is what I got. Then this is just a piece of cap. You can mold it, you can just buy an already made cap depending on you. So I'm just going to, I wrapped the cap black because I'm working with black net, so I don't want any contrasting color, so I worked with black. So you can buy a cap, you can mold a cap, whichever one you want, I think is fine. So this is the crinoline. For me to form the pattern of flower or roses, I'm going to be cutting 12 inches of crinoline. And this crinoline is the wide one. I think this crinoline should be up to 6 inches by width, I think, or I'm not really sure, but I know that we have the one of 3 inches. This is 6 inches, yes. So but I'm going to cut 12 inches. This is the big crinoline, so I'm going to cut 12 inches, and I will be needing up to 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, up to 25 pieces of this crinoline to complete my work. So, and then there's a part of it that I will make longer than the rest. With that particular one, I will cut at least, since I'm using 12, for that one I can use at least 16 inches, which will be very longer than the 12 inches, you understand? Or you can work with 15. Whatever you decide is just your choice, you understand? Just that I have at least 3 of it that is longer than the normal 12 inches. So you saw the way I folded. After folding it this way, I'm just going to use my needle and thread to tack it down. Now, one very important thing I did not put on camera is the fact that you can use your UHU gum applied to the tip of the crinoline before folding. But before you fold, just allow it to get a little bit dry. It will help to avoid this puffiness in the crinoline, to make it flat, you understand? So you just apply it, allow it to cool down a little, and then mash it together before you make your style. So the cap now, I want to work on the cap. To work on this cap, because I'll be fixing the crinoline on the cap. To work on the cap, I'll first of all determine the middle of the cap. Is very necessary. After knowing the middle of this cap, I'm going to use my tape, because I want to create a circle, and I want this circle to be a real round circle, as in I want it to be uniform. I just don't want to guess, you understand? So to do that, from the midpoint that I've already marked, which is that point you are seeing there, I'm going to place my tape. Maybe I will measure like 1 inch or 1.5 inch from that place, and on that particular point I will just keep turning the tape as I mark, you understand, from that same midpoint. So when I keep turning the tape from that point, it will look like I'm using what they call this thing now, is it compass or protractor, to do the construction of the circle. So this is the way I will do the construction of the circle, and it will be perfect, or it will be near perfect. So right now I have that circle there. So the next thing I will do is that every of the crinoline that I will be creating, I will fix it around that circle. And for that particular circle that you see, I will be fixing at least 12 to 13 crinoline. This folded crinoline, I will be fixing up to like 12 or 13 of it on this very circle. And this very circle is the first circle that I'm using. I will be fixing again up to 3 lines, you understand, of the crinoline. So to start the first one, that's the circle I created there. After the first one, I don't really need to create a circle, since I already have the crinoline you are fixing now will automatically form another circle that you can use, you understand. So I'm just going to fix at least 12 or 13 depending on when I feel the space is covered or I'm okay with it, you understand. If you want it scanty, you can fix at least 10, but for me, well, I think 12 crinoline should be okay. Remember I said the measurement for the crinoline I'm using, the crinoline size is 6 inches, and then the length I am using is 12 inches. So that's what I used to fold. So in fixing the crinoline to the cap, I want to say you make sure it is tight. You know, crinoline has a way of giving way if you don't really tighten the edges very well. So it's necessary you tighten the edges very well. All right, so the first part of this is complete now. You can see I have 3 there that is long, and then I have 1 that is the longest. If you look at it very well, that's just the style I decide to create. You can create all equal style depending on what you want. And like I said before, I'm going to be forming up to 3 steps in this. I'm going to make up to 3 steps of the crinoline. So the first step took about between 12 to 13. Yes, the second step will take between, let's say, 7 or 8, you understand. And then the final step is what you are seeing there now. It can take at least 4 or 5, but what I'm going to do is that I'll first of all join it together, then I will place it at the middle. It's just like a way of covering or closing the rough work that I have done, you understand. Just like maybe you are adding roses or brooch to what you have done, just to cover your rough work. So right now I am done fixing every part of the crinoline to the cap. So you see that I have applied my beads. You can use, there's a machine we use for that bead, or you can use your hot glue. There's this machine, I've forgotten the name, but when I try using that machine, because it's a net, the bead, some of them were actually falling off because it could not really grip the part very well. So I changed and I started using hot glue. That's why I did not show that part. Now you can see the inside of the cap is very rough because of the thread work, you understand. So right now I'm just going to cover the rough work before I'll fix it to the net, you understand. I don't want to fix it to the net before covering the rough work. It will help my work to be very neat. So I'm just going to cover it. You can see every rough part of the cap is covered now. So the reason you have to cover it is that after cutting off the neck, that same part, after cutting off the net, that same part will be revealed. That will be the part that will be resting on your client's head. So because of that, it is necessary you make it neat. So now to fix the cap to the net, I just use my hot glue round the cap, and then I'll just use the net to cover it, you understand. Once it's cold, the cap would have been sticked to the net, you understand. And then I will now use my trimming. You know, trimming have different colors and patterns, designs, or whatever. So I'll just look for a good trimming that I'll use to do my finishing. So in this case, I use the silver trimming together with a black one to just make sure that my finishing is okay. Why I did that is, after placing this net now, just like you see me doing there now, I will cut off the part that you see me holding, and you can see a part that is round already there. That's the part that the glue was in. So after cutting it off, I'll now use my trimming, the silver trimming. I use it to hold down every part of the net that is supposed to be standing. I'm sorry I did that off camera. I'm very sorry. So I'm doing the final what do I call it now, closing of the rough work by using a black trimming to cover that final edge of the cap. I bet you is a very neat work, very, very neat. So I just use that to do my finishing. This is to ensure that every part of the work I'm doing is okay, you understand, because the fact that the top of the fascinator is fine, you have to make sure that underneath is fine as well, you understand. So in everything that we do, we just want to ensure a little bit of perfection. We might not be completely perfect. So you can see that the inside work is beautiful. So this is how I attach the beads. I just try to apply the hot glue a bit and make sure that, very importantly, that it does not drop on the net, because if it does, you cannot remove it. Me, I don't know how to remove it. Other persons might know how to remove it, but for me, I do not know how to remove it. So I'm always very careful with it. If you know how to remove it, you can just drop the comment under my video. I will appreciate it. I don't know how to remove it, so I try as much as possible to be careful. So I'm attaching the hairband to it, and for me to, before I'll use my needle and thread to sew it, I first of all use my hot glue to hold it to place, you understand, because sometimes when you try to sew it instantly with your needle and thread, it might just shake and leave the position. So as much as possible, I want to do that. And you can see that after attaching it with my needle and thread, that part is rough as well. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of black, and then I'll just use it to do a final closing on that part. The bottom line is to ensure that every aspect or every part of the work that you are doing is neat, you understand. So every trace of rough work should be covered with a pattern, something beautiful that we add as an extra style for you, you understand. So you can see my finishing is neat, is beautiful. So you see it is so beautiful. You can do this on red, because we are the season we are in now. You can use a red net, a red crinoline, and then a white bead, and then just apply some feathers. It can be red feathers, whatever you decide is perfect, you understand. So right now I'm just I'm fixing the feathers to it, and with me I have about 10 of this pattern of feathers with me. 10. That's because I just want it to be a little bit, you understand. 10 is not too much, but I don't want it to be too small as well. So I actually used 10. And this is how I apply it. Just apply glue to the feathers and look for a convenient position in the net to place it, and it will stick to it. And this is just it. I am done. I do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for stopping by. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so. I love you. Have a nice day. Bye.